Welcome back to Walk in the Park, the podcast where we meet startup founders for a walk outside and deep dive into their entrepreneurial journeys. Today I'm in Oslo on my way to Vigeland Park to meet Odd Skarheim, an innovative leader and tech entrepreneur known for his passion for improving performances and building world-class companies like Attensi and BeYourBest. In this episode, we'll hear a story how Odd quitted his job of leading a hotel chain and started his first company, his experiences of stepping down as a CEO, and what qualities he looked for when looking for the new leader. We'll also talk about sales, building culture, and much more other experiences which he got from his path and implementing it into his journey. So put your headsets on, go outside and walk with us. Hi Odd.
Hello.
And welcome to Walk in the Park.
Thank you.
My pleasure to invite you to this autumn walk in Oslo today. So let's walk.
Yeah.
The first one I usually ask people, how often do you actually have walking dogs?
How often I have them?
Yeah,
this is my first time.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, or maybe once in a while. Yeah, nothing organized.
Nothing like during COVID times when you did some walk and talks or something?
No.
Can you tell us a bit about yourself? So who are you and what do you do?
I am Odd Skarheim, 56 years old. Have two kids playing football, and I'm a tech entrepreneur, particularly within learning and training technology.
I'm really curious now how you actually came to that point that you started a technology company. What was your first experience starting a tech company?
That was from the beginning. I worked in a hotel chain, had a lot of employees, had 1,000 employees, and I was interested in how could we train these people in an efficient way that they thought was fun. So that was the reason why I brought in the groups of students to see if we could put together a piece of software that could work for training purposes. So that was the start.
And why you thought about it in the first place?
It was because we did have a classroom education. It worked okay, but the problem was that people quitted before they did the course. So we never got everyone through, so we never got everyone up on the level that we wanted. So I thought that could be an idea to test, to see if it could work better as a more fun way to do it and much faster.
So you thought about it, and what you did was actually after pretty long time in the hospitality industry, and you did this personal pivot, completely different industry.
Yes.
Start a company. So why not to continue doing, kind of building on this career, and why you just jumped into it?
I really loved working in the hospitality industry, so I could easily have continued that way. So it was more that it was also about people, to develop technology to train people and improve their performance. And it was also to run my own business. So it maybe was more to run my own business. It was looked like an attractive option, but I could easily have also continued the path I was on.
Looking back, you thought it was, you thinking this was the right decision?
Absolutely. But I could have done the other decision, and I would have been very happy with that as well.
Exactly, that's a good mindset. Why running your own company you thought was the right way for you to do? Is it something about freedom?
I think very much about freedom. To do what I like to do in the pace that I like to do and with the people that I wanted to work with. So yeah, it was very much about that, I think.
But e-learning, how we call it these days?
Well, we used to call it e-learning.
Now
so
it's something else?
Yeah, but I think that it's still like they use the expression edtech or
edtech.
e-learning. It's like it's umbrella. We like to say what we are doing as gamified simulation training. So.
But it's an advanced kind of level in the new definition of e-learning, which was e-learning.
Yes.
But my point was actually because when you started, it was around 1997. ish.
Yes.
And there was no definition of e-learning. I googled and it came in 1999.
Yes.
First time. So how was it for you to build a company on something which was completely unknown and you would probably needed to educate people what it is?
Yeah, and the other thing was also that internet was so new, so that was also new. So people didn't really know what that was and how that could be used for training purpose. Today it's just people, it's obvious, but then it was not obvious at all. Yeah, it was really hard, like it always is, starting your own business and scaling it. That's my experience. It's always hard. So you have to build the whole category, and you have to train people to understand and show them how it's beneficial, and find all different paths to make that happen. So it's, we do the same today. It's still new for a lot of people. Like in BeYourBest, we have to still educate the football clubs around the globe that this is really smart to do, and show them why it is, and show it's based on science. But it's still a lot of work to build this whole new category.
So tell us a bit about BeYourBest.
So that's it's based on my other training and learning company, Attensi. It's based on the same type of technology, but it's built completely new. It's based on game technology, simulation, but it was also based that I have a little bit of a background within football as a chairman of a professional football club here in Oslo, Vålerenga FC. And then I met a lot of people when we played European Cups, got a network, and I also met researchers and scientists within mental performance. And I thought that was super interesting to find what does the best players in the world effectively do on the field when it comes to mental performance. So it's basically that type of research, building simulation technology, training people to become better at game intelligence on the field, making them foresee what's going to happen next before it happens.
But did you get the idea of starting a company after you talked to researchers?
That's a good question. So it was after listening to the researchers. So it was at the conference, and I thought that is smart, because they're putting numbers and metrics on what goes on in the brain. So and I thought that was interesting, and I thought that here is possible to build training technology where you can change and improve people's performance using that knowledge.
So what was the next step for you?
Yeah, that was to start the company.
Yeah, and find the right people?
Yes. So I hired people that could both shape the content and to build the technology. So a lot of work, and trying and testing different things.
So how has it been compared to starting Attensi, which was some years before that?
It's very different. So because here it was earlier on, we got investors. I had a couple of years where we were testing different types of technology, trying to build different things. And then I went out to the investor market to bring in investors to fund more as a venture. So I did this much earlier in BeYourBest than in Attensi. Because in Attensi I did not bring in investors at all before, after several years.
And that was conscious decision both times, right?
Both were, yeah.
Let us go back a bit back to Attensi. 7 years, or how many years without an investor? You were focusing on building the product and prove the commercial part of it, right?
Yes.
That was the main focus in the beginning. And then you took the investors much, much later. How do you choose what to focus on? And why was it so important for you to really build a commercial product?
Yeah, and actually my goal with Attensi was to make it profitable from day one, which is really not realistic in most cases, building technology, because you need to build the technology and it costs a lot. But that was anyhow my decision. So, and I think we were profitable almost from day one. So, and it sounds like a really smart idea, but it's also super hard. So you're creating a lot of challenges for yourself having a goal like that. But yeah, with working very hard, we made it work from the beginning.
How did you make it work?
Yeah, I don't know if I can even tell that, but one of the ideas was to deliver, really good impact to the customers, training their employees. So instead of selling it as a product, we sold it as what kind of impact will this create. So for instance, if it was sales training in a large retail organization, it was how much could we increase the sales by. And then so that's what I sold them, and that's why I told them this is going to cost you quite a bit, but it's very little compared to the impact that it will make. So I also got the price tag quite high, and then we sold them something that we basically didn't have. So, but then we worked around the clock to absolutely deliver what we had promised.
How were you choosing your first customers? Was it specific industry? Was it something you knew from before, or?
No, yeah, that's a good question. So it was basically choosing organizations and customers that had a lot of frontline employees, because that's where they have a high degree of turnover of employees. So it's hard to train people before they quit the game. So you need to bring them up to speed quickly. So we thought that's a pain point, because you don't have time to do classroom education. So you need to train them quickly. So we chose that because of that.
So was then hospitality again one of the first industries?
It was actually retail.
Retail.
Yeah.
But I wanted to touch a little bit this hospitality industry again, since you were there for quite some time. As we understood, you actually got inspired through these years because you saw that traditional classroom education is not really working that effective. Any other learnings?
Oh, it was many things, because and it's been like a red thread throughout my whole career. It's basically working with people. So what happens between people in the organization? What happens between the management and the employees and the middle management, and how do you run a business? And the intersection between the company and the customers, and the importance of always having satisfied customers, and that the organization work hard to satisfy the customers and measure it.
So was it the part of measuring it, or like the people part of it, which was like the most important for you?
I think both. So it's always been for me very much focusing on how to get the customer satisfied, and also sell more to them in a way. So selling is also a super important part. Selling them more to them in a way so that they perceive it as increased customer service. But it's always about the organization. And in startups, they say that the team is important. So and it's true. So it's just, but you need to, at least I think it's very necessary to not only say that's important, but you need to prove it. How much time you spend on recruiting the right people, how much time you spend on developing your organization, and so forth.
How much time do you think leadership should spend on that?
I would be very careful to tell other people what to do. So, but I could see that, for instance, Trond, my partner in Attensi, he's the CEO and basically built the whole organization after me. And he spent 50% of his time only on recruiting at a time when there was 30, 40, 50 people there. He had so many other things, but he's focused very much on this, and it's built a tremendous organization because of that. I think that's one of the reasons.
When was your first time you started to work actually? How old were you?
Yeah, that was really young.
Yeah?
Yes, that was as a paid work outside the house. It was inside the house, it was really young, but outside the house I was 12 years.
What happened since you first time tried working outside the house?
I really wanted a job, and I couldn't get a job because I was 12 years old. So I went to the person delivering the newspapers in my area, and I told her that I could do her job for half the price, and then she didn't have to work. She thought that was a good idea. She didn't work and got half the payment. And then I got other jobs, working at night and doing dishes at restaurants, and in addition to school. So I always worked full speed ahead.
That you had another passion for food.
Yes, so working in the restaurant, in the doing the dishes part. I thought I got caught interest in what was going on in the kitchen. So so I developed a passion for food, and I even did went to get an education as a cook, as a chef. It was the start of my hospitality business. Just was to work in the kitchen.
Do you still have that hobby of?
Yeah, I would absolutely say so.
Cooking?
So it's not so much a hobby anymore, but I make all the food, all the dinners. So always made from scratch. I know the basics. So it's really good. I'm not as creative as I used to be because you have to spend time on to develop it further. So, but I still know the basics, how to make sauces and all the different aspects.
All the companies you started, is there anything you remember which was a setback or failure?
There's different things. I think one thing that really changed my mind was during, and this is a long time ago, during the dot-com crash. So I had a company that I started in the 90s that became a really good company. Involved Learning, it was e-learning. We became big in the whole of the Nordics. We had the daughter companies in all countries. We had all the largest businesses in those countries as customers, and a lot of brilliant people working in the organization. We had 120 employees, and then the dot-com crash came, and we lost half of our revenue overnight. And the downsizing of the organization, and in the end it went bankrupt. And from that I learned we were not greedy in any way, but I learned the importance of having cash and having planning way ahead. So because I lost basically everything, but it was not so much that was a problem for me, because it was not the money that was the driver, but it was losing this fantastic organization. I thought was not a great experience, but it was super learningful. And after that, I always make sure that we never run out of cash. So, and I think that's also good for the organization and also for the investors in the long run, because you conserve the value of the company and what you have built. So, but you have to take the cost along the way, because it could have been smarter to wait until the company is more valuable before you bring in more money. But for me, it's about giving away more earlier on to secure the company in the long run.
You have one of the things you usually do is that you start running a company as a CEO, and then after some time you step down.
Yes.
And you find the external one.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, I almost said it's not a deliberate thing, but it is. It is a deliberate thing. So it is. I like to build the company from the beginning, and I also like to run it. But I think for me, it's about how can you build a company that's number one in the world in its niche. And how can I do that? Am I the right person to do that? I'm always sure that there is someone else that can do it even better job than me. So I think it's about finding that person. And then if I don't find it, then I would run it myself. But if I find it, then that will create a better result in the end. So it will increase the probability of being number one in the world. So and then also that person bringing in other people, great people, making it a great company, and then I can be on the board and support with my experience and from my corner.
But how do you know when to start looking for those people? For the new
I
CEO?
always do that. Yes, because it's about meeting people everywhere, and I always judge people when I meet them, and I look for what are their thoughts, how do they do their work. It's also because I'm really interested in people in general, so it is a kind of a hobby. So and then I meet them. That is what happened with Trond. I met him, years and years before that in a different setting. So it was just that it came together.
So when you look at these people and analyze their brain,
Yeah.
so what qualities you look for?
Well, it's several things. So and it's common within psychology that you look for people that are alike yourself, and that's what you think it's great people. So I try to not to do that, to find if they have distinctive assets that are really stands out, really different from others. So so it is the sum of everything that makes them great, and it's so hard to build a world leader within its niche. So you need several different qualities. So I think it's hard to. It's not a specific list. It's several things that you believe will be important to succeed. You need to be a great manager. You need to be a people person to get people on board. You need to be a person that can be strategic minded, think forward, have an international background, can work in a global setting, understand how people think in other countries, both employees, managers, management, customers, organizations. Yeah, so it's complex.
How do investors react to that, that you want to step down as a CEO?
Well, it's it would typically venture capitalists don't like it. So and that's the reason why is they have a playbook with a checklist, and then the checklist is that the founders should run the company. So in that way they're curious about this, and they don't really understand it.
How do you feel actually when you're stepping down as a CEO? Because you love these companies, you started them, and you said you actually really like running business.
Yeah.
So what do you feel? Is it easy?
No, it's really hard. So, but it's my own decision. So I'm planning for it. So it is hard, and but it's also very nice. So I both like it and think it's hard.
But how are you planning it? How are you preparing yourself?
Well, it's mental preparedness. So I work with training people so then I just I do what I decide. If I make a decision, I follow it 100%. So when I've decided that's the way it's going to be, then it is like that. But I need to adjust the way I am along the way to make sure that I'm not too much into the business, and also not too far away. So it is like a balance thing, and it's not obvious how you do it, but you have to try a little bit back and forth and to find the right balance.
Do you have a simulation training at Attensi where you can train how to step down as a CEO?
It could be a simulation, because that's the interpersonal situations is one of the core things that they do at Attensi. That could be from from a manager to an employee, and how do you simulate different aspects of that. So absolutely. The target group is a little bit small here, it won't make sense as an investment.
You probably learned a lot about delegating in general since you started to step down as the CEO. So what is the main lesson for you about delegating?
Well, I think it's from my first manager position, it was important with the delegation, I think. So it's to delegate work, and for me, management is about getting things done through others. So and to get things done, you need to delegate.
Yeah. How do you manage to build a culture where these brighter, smarter, faster people can thrive and perform?
That's interesting because I think for me it's super important. I think most people will agree, but again, it's how much power do you put behind it? How much of your time do you spend on it, and brain power? And I thought maybe that would be some of the things that I would be very important for the company. But when you work with the right people, they are so powerful to drive and to both create the culture and drive it through. So it's about finding the right people again. Mm-hmm. So that's been my experience, and you need to let those powerful people do that in their way. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that was, again, the most important part is to find the right people to work with and give them the responsibility.
Yeah.
But you know that you talk to them that if they are interested in this area or not. So, and if you understand that they say, yeah, that's one of the key success factors, then you know that they will put power behind it to make it happen. What's important for us in our organization? How do we want to be and become? So you don't have to do anything. It's just going to happen.
What is your leadership style, you think?
My leadership style? Yeah, that would be really interesting to hear from others.
Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. I hope they would say that I'm very focused on people, getting the right people in, and building a strong culture. I hope they would say that's an ambitious leadership style, that I'm a people person. Hope that they will say that, and also strategic minded. Mm-hmm. And hopefully I hope also that I would like to be a person that listens, that I say it is easy to talk about difficult things.
What helps you to prioritize and focus on right things?
I don't have any specific things or methods that I use, other than I think it's very important. So meaning that I have to, like everyone else, I guess, to find out what is most important. So I have to rebalance what I do all the time. So I do that every day. Rebalance and say, okay, what are the things I cannot do? What are the most important things to do? So I think it's a job that is never finished. So it's it's always challenging. You always feel like you're behind. Always do more than you have more on your plate than you can do.
But the first question you ask to yourself, what I don't need to do.
Yes, so I have to rebalance and quit doing that. So, but that's also really hard. So I'm continually struggling with this. So, but that's the way. Cut out things, small things, big things. It always pops up new things all the time. If it doesn't pop up on my plate, it pops up in my head.
Do you have any morning routines?
Morning?
Yeah.
Well, not... well, I get up and make breakfast for my children. So I think that's the most important routine, and talk to them. Always sit down and talk with them during breakfast. So far it worked. We'll see how long. They're 14 and 11 now. So I think that's the most important morning routine.
So, but when do you do this planning kind of thing and prioritizing thing?
Yeah, now I made it sound very structured. I don't think it's that structured. So it happens in the evening, and it happens in the morning and during daytime. Yeah. So I don't have a. Well, I probably do that in the end of the week, like on a Sunday. I think about this coming week, and then yeah, that I do. what's going to happen this week, and then I probably do it every day as well. Yeah, in the morning and in the evening.
Since you mentioned your children, what advice would you give them when they're about to make their first career decision?
That's a good question, because what I'd like to be is like a father person that say you do whatever you like. They both play football. I don't know if that would have happened if they didn't have some nudging from the parent side here. I think it's very much up to them. So what's important for me is two things: is that they care about other people, that they become nice human beings, and that they understand if they want to achieve something, they need to work hard. So it's the working hard part if they want to achieve something. They can also say, I don't want to achieve anything. Well, then we don't need to work that hard. But if you want to work hard, I think it's the other part.
Can you call yourself a high achiever?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm
very happy about that. So it's very deliberate. I don't have a book, I don't think, that will fit for that specific purpose. Yeah, I think the most important part of performance does not come from books. It comes from your inside, and that's what I'm always looking for in people as well. Do you have the engine inside that really want to commit something, really want to do something? That be sport, that be academia. You can be a researcher, scientist, or in business or in non-profit organizations. So you can have high education or don't know education, but you can have that driving force within you. So I don't think it's in books. You can add a little bit spice from there, a little bit knowledge. That's my belief. It's not the truth or the.
Do you think it's something can be trained, or it's you're born with it?
That's a good question. I believe it's something that you can decide for yourself. So you can decide that you can be a high performer, but how high? And I believe most people can achieve more than they think is possible. So, but the cost side of things is that you need to work hard. Yeah. So you need to put in a lot of time. So it's if you want to really achieve something, it's not 8 to 4. But then you can lower your expectations and then be fine with that. But if you have high expectations, you can decide that yourself. Then you need to put in. Maybe that's not enough either, but it's in most cases necessary to achieve something.
Are you good at making choices and decisions?
I would say I'm above mediocre. I'm not great, but I think I'm okay.
My last question for today is what key skill you think young people should really focus on?
I think I would like to return to to calibrate your expectations and goal with the willingness to put in what it takes, to always be looking for how can I improve and spend a lot of time getting there. I think that's the most important thing, because I think a lot of young people don't understand how much, no matter what you want to succeed within, how much work it takes. And also being an entrepreneur, of course, it's a lot of work, and you can choose to put in a lot of work and you can have a high goal, and understanding that. And I think about that every day and every month. And I know if I want to achieve something new, I have to put in a lot of time. So I think that's my best advice to young people. Yeah, one thing that I didn't mention is that I've been, for the past few years, I've been, when I talk to those entrepreneurs that have succeeded most, is that it's very liberating to talk to them, because very seldom they would be very sure about what does it take to succeed. So, and I think that's interesting. They won't be that 100% sure. So, and I think that's also the truth, because there's a lot of uncertainty. Having that, being humble, combined with working hard, which everyone absolutely believes is necessary, I think there's something there.
What are your next plans, by the way? What else are you doing? You're on the board of BeYourBest now and Attensi. Are you planning some new adventure? Are you doing something else, if you want to mention that?
Yeah, well, I think absolutely. So I'm spending a lot of time now to learn a new area and using what I have from before as a new wave, which will be more in creating massive social impact in the third world, and see how that's possible and how I can contribute.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
As usually, I'm sharing my key takeaways from today's episode. It's always hard to start a company, but if it's what you want and like, you'll find a way. Focus on sales and customer satisfaction from day one is really important. But think of not selling a product, but what impact you bring. And to build the world-class companies, you need an exceptional people. So think of how much time you're spending on recruitment and how you build your company culture. Thanks for joining. See you next week.